we looking? I'm not going to squeeze it because I hate when people squeeze their briskets, but there we go. Yes, please. Jazz hands. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Danger Pit. I'm still Chef Danger. So, I've been cooking briskets for about 4 years now. I started about 4 years ago cooking just the worst briskets. They were absolutely dreadful. My friends said they were okay, but they don't know what they're talking about, and I do. So, it wasn't until brisket 5 or 6 that I actually cooked a brisket to tenderness in this very garden. So, without tickling my own pickle too hard, my last couple of briskets have been good. Like, really, really good. They're really getting somewhere. Wanted to do just sort of like a line in the sand of where I'm at with the current Danger Pit brisket meta, because every time I do a cook, I'll do something new, it'll go wrong. I'll make a mistake, I'll learn from a mistake, I'll try something new, and I've stolen so many other people's ideas over the years. They've kind of come together into what is my brisket. So, gonna take it from the top and just kind of like explain to you what I've learned over the years, what my current processes are, what I've learned for new beginners, and yeah. My current brisket guy, he imports from Ireland really decent, really high quality briskets, but the compromise is A, they're imported, so it's less than ideal, it's not a nice local product, and B, it comes to me frozen. What I needed from a brisket supplier at the moment, now that I'm starting to gain a bit of traction, is I needed a consistent product that I could get reliably, and the compromise for me is frozen, unfortunately. But it doesn't change the fact that, if we have a little look at this brisket, as you can see, the fat cap on this is fantastic. Now, I've never seen a fat cap quite as thick as on this brisket. Now, this is exactly what I'm looking for when I'm wanting to buy a brisket. I'm wanting something with a good, large, robust fat cap that I can trim down myself because I know exactly what I'm aiming for. And as well, there's no such thing as bad fat. You guys all have a good fat bag in your freezer, right? Where you save your good fat? Just me? Okay, fair enough. All of the fat, all of the trimmings from this brisket, I'm just going to get thrown into the freezer and I'll use it to make sausage down the line. That's absolutely fine. We don't waste anything. All right.
It's a bit of arc.
I love those fiery sounds. Every now and then I was like, dung. Step 1, dung.
You add some salt, bong.
Step 2, pepper. When I'm trimming my briskets, I'm taking my fat back, I'm taking all the silver skin off, peeling this fat cap back so it's around about a quarter, half an inch thick. Any more than that, I tend to find that when it cooks, yeah, it renders, but it still makes like quite a gooey, claggy, mouthy. It's not happened to me yet, but it's happened to some of my guests where I've served them a slice of brisket and I've seen the look on their face, but then they go, Mark, that was just a big pile of fat. If you're blessed with a full carcass butcher nearby to you, go and speak to them and ask them for an American style packer brisket. If they don't know what you're talking about, then you probably want to be asking them for a brisket flick. Now, the brisket here in the UK is usually loosely defined as the entire brisket primal leading into the short plate primal. I don't know why I'm gesturing on myself, I'll make a diagram. But the entire brisket primal, which obviously that's not what we want. We just want the brisket muscles themselves lifting away from the plate ribs. So if you go and speak to them and ask for a brisket flick, they understand that that means the brisket flat and the brisket point. When I first started trimming briskets down, I was spending heaps of time carving as much fat away as I could so I could get a consistent quarter-inch fat. Now, that does matter. You don't want to have too much fat when you're biting into the brisket itself, but from my experience, I found that a piece of brisket that's unevenly fatty, some of it's thicker, some of it's thinner, but the overall shape of it is more aerodynamic, produces a far better brisket on the fire. Ideally, you're aiming for like a good peregrine falcon shape. Something where it's going to dive bomb into the ocean, pick up some fish. I don't know if falcons fish. So as you can see here, I'm rounding this brisket off. I'm just trimming the edges in and making sure that I've got no sharp pointy edges hanging off, because where those areas burn, it'll invite burn to carry deeper into the meat. And all that's going to happen is you're going to end up with areas that are overcooked, dry, almost charcoaly, whereas having something a nice, even peregrine falcon shape means that the smoke's going to push over it, it's going to cook the whole thing evenly, no burn areas. Far more important. Make sure you take the silver skin off your underside, because that will stop smoke penetrating and it'll stop your rub adhesing into the meat and it'll just end up washing off as it cooks.